Hello Tanga, welcome to GullyClassroom. This is the last and the 6th lecture in the unit Agriculture in CBSE 10th Standard Geography Chapter 4 Agriculture. We are going for the last and the 6th lecture. Sir, what are the topics we are going to cover in this lecture? We will be learning about food security. What are the policies of government in order to ensure food security? What kind of system the government is implementing in order to ensure food security? Also, what are the unintended effects of the system that the government is employing in order to ensure food security? Finally, we will also study about food grain self-sufficiency and the effect of globalization on agriculture. Food grain self-sufficiency and the effect of globalization on agriculture. Right. First, what is food security, sir? Food security is an assurance that each and every segment of people in the entire country of India will get food of minimum nutritional value. So, food security is an assurance that every segment of population will always get minimum nutritional value food. But in India, in some economically disadvantaged states, in economically less developed states, food security is less. So, what is the government doing in order to ensure food security? The government is employing a system and a policy. First, let us look at our policy. National Food Security Policy is employed in order to ensure food security. National Food Security Policy. What is it focusing on? National Food Security Policy is focusing on increasing the agricultural produce. Also, once you have increased the agricultural produce, what are you going to do? You are going to maintain a lot of stocks. Increase agricultural produce, maintain a lot of stocks. Also, fix minimum support price for wheat and rice. Fix minimum support price for wheat and rice. Okay, this is the focus. This is the policy. How is this policy being implemented by our government? With two components. What are the two components of the system by which the government is implementing the policy, food security policy? The first system is called as buffer stock or FCI. What is buffer stock? The government always maintains more food grains than that is actually necessary. Why, sir? What is the need for maintaining more food grains than that is actually necessary? Let's say suddenly there is an emergency. Let's say there is an earthquake, flood or a natural disaster. Let's say there is a famine. It's in such conditions the government must be holding to a lot of food grains such that it can feed its people. So, the government always needs to maintain a buffer stock. Who is in charge of maintaining this buffer stock, sir? FCI, Food Corporation of India, is in charge for maintaining this buffer stock. They are responsible for procuring the food grains or stocks from the farmers at MSP. Also, distribution is ensured by PDS. What is PDS, sir? PDS stands for Public Distribution System. Sir, Public Distribution System. Is there any other word that we are calling PDS? Colloquially, yes. Usually, in Tamil Nadu level, PDFs, Public Distribution System, is called as ration shops. PDS, Public Distribution System, is called as ration shops. So, the PDS satisfies the primary objective of ensuring food security. How, sir? In ration shops, the poor people are enabled to have access to food, access to good quality food at reasonably low prices. The ration shops give access to poor people for good quality food at comparatively low prices, and reasonable prices. Okay, sir. Also, they are ensuring food grain availability to common people at all the times. So, PDS is going to be your second way in which we are ensuring food security. The first way is we are maintaining a buffer stock. The second way is we are having a very good food distribution system in terms of PDS, public distribution system or ration shop, in the name of public distribution system or ration shop. Okay sir, isn't buffer stock and PDS, public distribution system, a good thing? Why you are saying that there are unintended consequences, that there are negative consequences for both buffer stock and PDS? Okay, the government is fixing minimum support prices for wheat and rice. So what will the farmers do? If you grow wheat and rice, you can always sell it at a minimum support price, high minimum support prices. Encourage farmers to put more wheat and rice in their fields. They will want to cultivate more wheat and rice in their fields in order to get the minimum support price from the government. Because of this, the cropping patterns are changing. The cropping patterns are getting imbalanced. In fact, in Punjab and Haryana, the farmers are growing more wheat and paddy for higher minimum support prices. This is causing serious imbalances in the intercrop parities. What is intercropping? Growing more than two types of crop in the same field in order to ensure the fertility of the soil. In order to ensure the fertility of the soil is called as intercropping. Because of high MSPs, farmers are growing more paddy and wheat. So intercropping imbalances are easily happening. What else? The government is giving subsidized fertilizer, power and water, and this has reached unsustainable levels. People are putting deep borewells and pumping a lot of water, and this is resulting in waterlogging. Standing water is never good for plants. Very few plants need standing water in certain stages of their growth. Listen to me carefully. Very few crops need standing water only during certain age periods of their growth. But constant standing water destroys the soil, brings the fertility of the soil down, increases the salinity of the soil, increases the salt content of the soil, and this in turn depletes the soil nutrients. This in turn is depleting the soil nutrients. In such a way, the unintended effects are affecting our agriculture. So what about food grain self-sufficiency? First, what is food grain self-sufficiency? In India, we are going to grow the cereals and food that we are going to consume. We should be self-sufficient. We should be able to produce all the food grains that we need as a country. Okay, so we need to have proper agricultural infrastructure. We need to have good irrigation facilities and sufficient power facilities. Also, good credit facilities, good loan facilities at low interest of rate is needed by the farmers. Latest agricultural techniques must be conveyed to the farmers. Also, free trade in grains must be encouraged, which will produce massive employment and reduce poverty in rural areas. Which will produce massive employment and reduce poverty in rural areas. Sir, what is free trade in grains? There is this concept in economics called as free trade. A free trade is a concept where the government is not going to put any import tariffs on any food grains. Let us say somebody is importing some tomatoes or onions from some other country. Then the government will always put some kind of a tariff. Why is the government putting tariff? In order to protect the producers who are working in India. But the free trade theory says that if everybody is able to export everything from one place to another, it will result in healthy increase in employment and reduce poverty. It is debatable. Let me be very, very clear. It is debatable whether free trade in grains is going to actually result in massive employment and reduction in poverty. But with respect to our NCERT book, it is given and it is forming a point. So we are going to write it as it is. Yeah. Impact of globalization on agriculture. India is a very important producer of rice, cotton, rubber, tea, coffee, jute and spices. Rice, cotton, rubber, tea, coffee, jute and spices. But still India is not able to compete in the international market in agriculture with developed countries. Why, sir? In the developed countries, agriculture is getting heavily subsidized. Sir, but you just told that even in India, we have subsidized inputs like fertilizer, power and water. Kanna, in well-developed countries, the entire system of agriculture is extremely subsidized to encourage the farmers, even more subsidized than our own system. In such a well-subsidized system, those farmers are able to take more output rather than our farmers, and this is causing us a major disadvantage in the international production scenario. Right. So what about agriculture today? In agriculture today, people are preferring organic farmed materials, organically farmed foods, which are cultivated without adding any artificial chemical fertilizers, pesticides or any other things. This is manufacturing vegetables without doing any damage to the environment. Okay, sir. What are the other ways in which Indian farmers can increase their production? Indian farmers can diversify their cropping pattern from cereals to high-valued crops. Sir, give me an example for high-valued crops. Fruits, vegetables and medicinal herbs, flowers. Fruits, vegetables, medicinal herbs and flowers. These high-valued crops need less water than rice or sugar cane, but they are economically high valued. Because we are putting these crops, we can increase our income, and we can reduce our economic degradation. Yeah, that is more or less the end of this lecture. How are you going to study this lecture? Give more importance to food security. The definition of food security is an important 2 mark. Give critical importance to the system that is maintaining the food security. What is buffer stock? What is FCI, Food Corporation of India? What is the function of FCI, Food Corporation of India? PDS, Public Distribution System. What is the function of Public Distribution System? Give importance to what is food security, and also read about buffer stock and PDS, Public Distribution System. That forms the core of this lecture. Hope you guys enjoyed this lecture. If you like our lectures, subscribe to us. Obviously, click the bell icon. Recommend our lectures to your friends. Yeah, let us grow together. Thank you again for listening to my lecture. Cheers and thank you once more. Thank you, Dakana. Thank you. Cheers.